Thank you all for being here. This is a live event. I love it. So welcome to the 2025 Charles Lindley Lecture. I'm Daryl Sparks, Associate Dean for the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and I'm happy to welcome you here today. We have an excellent speaker for you, Ms. Cassandra Mobley from the Mississippi Food Network. Before I introduce her, though, I would like to give a special shout out to the attendees that are here for the Mississippi Youth Institute. We do this in conjunction with the Lindley Lecture every year, and so if you are here as a participant, including chaperones and teachers, if you're here on behalf of the Mississippi Youth Institute, please stand and let's give you folks a round of applause. So please stand. Don't be ashamed. Stand up. Come on. That's you guys. That's you. Students. Well, that's you. So we should have, I think, 34 students plus teachers and chaperones here as part of that this morning. So I'm excited to hear how the roundtables that the students just finished went. But we appreciate all the folks being on campus today, visiting, and hopefully you have a good day. So with that, let me move on to introducing our speaker. So Ms. Cassandra Mobley is the Chief Operating Officer for the Mississippi Food Network. She leads multiple teams there, including operations, agency relations, programs, and procurement. She has worked in several capacities during her 21-year tenure at the Mississippi Food Network, and during that time she has implemented several programs. In 2014, she assumed the role of Director of Agency Relations and Programs and spent 9 years developing and managing and expanding the partner agency network, as well as child feeding programs, mobile pantries, food sourcing program, retail donation program, and nutrition education. Cassandra Mobley is passionate about community engagement and is currently very active on the community advisory boards of the Forge Ahead Center, the Mississippi Center for Clinical and Translational Research, and as community principal investigator on the Mississippi Community Engagement Alliance team. Ms. Mobley attended Lincoln Community College and the University of Southern Mississippi, and I know we have some folks that also attend the University of Southern Mississippi here as well. So she attended Southern Miss. She and her husband make their home in Florence, Mississippi, where they're very active in Florence First Baptist Church. She and her husband enjoy road trips, exploring new places, and supporting their grandchildren in their soccer and football games. The title of her seminar today is Fighting Hunger, Feeding Hope. So please welcome Cassandra Mobley.
Can you guys hear me? Good? Do I need to yell? I think I can hear myself, so that's good. So thank you guys for having me today. I've been so excited, known about this for a couple of months, so I've been very excited leading up to today, and I'm just so happy to be here. I was fortunate to be able to participate in the roundtables we had earlier. I'm so impressed. You guys are so smart. It's wonderful to see our youth really thinking about some of the issues that are going on in the world and in our country right now. So I'm just very excited for our future. So I just want to thank you guys for being what you are and bringing what you do or bringing to the world and to places like the Food Network. Just a little bit about me. What Daryl just spoke about sounded very, very impressive. It's really not. It's just I'm someone who is fortunate enough to have come to the Food Network 21, almost 22 years ago now, and found a home and a passion. Had no idea that's how it was going to end up. So I've done a lot of things at the food bank through my years, and just really had a great career. And there are a lot of opportunities in the nonprofit sector, especially on the charitable food side. So if any of you are, and obviously you have some interest in it, you're here today, it's something that you might want to explore. Like he said, I live in Florence. I am a mother and grandmother. I am the grandmother of, I'm not even talking about my kids, I'm like, psh, I'm talking about my grandkids. So I have 12 grandchildren. Woo! That's a lot. Christmas is interesting at my house with 12. So the oldest one is 18, the youngest one is 5 months. So I've got a whole range of them, and they are what probably takes up most of my time outside of my job. So I really enjoy spending time with them. That most of them live locally, so that's been a wonderful thing. I'm going to do, there is a bag in the closet. It's a Mississippi State bag that has some things in it. Do you mind grabbing that for me? So I'm going to do my presentation, and I'm going to have a few little questions for you, and I may have a couple of prizes for some people for answering questions. So that's my way of keeping you awake through my talk today. We've talked a lot about food insecurity already this morning. So one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about is, what does food insecurity look like? Well, for me, food insecurity in Mississippi is what I'm mostly versed in. Thank you. And it looks very different in a lot of ways. There's no one person that's food insecure, or one type of person. So food insecurity can be children who don't know where their next meal's coming from. It can be a senior who's living on a fixed income and they don't know if they have enough money to make it to the end of the month. Working families. There are a lot of working families that are food insecure. They just don't make a living wage enough to pay for housing, feeding their family, utilities, medical, all the things. There are over 550,000 people in Mississippi who are food insecure. That's just in our state. I heard some of the statistics this morning about some of the countries that you guys were doing your presentations on, and this is a global thing, and a lot of the reasons or things that lead to food insecurity seem to resonate across globally, not just here in our state. So that was one of the things I learned this morning. But 1 in 5 people in Mississippi is food insecure. So if you were sitting around a table of 10 people, 5 of those people could be food insecure. The hunger problem, this is coming from Map the Meal Gap. So Mississippi Food Network is a partner food bank or affiliate food bank of Feeding America. And they are just a network of food banks, and they're a big support of the food banks in the different states. For us in Mississippi, we have a very high food insecurity rate. We were number 1 up until this year. Does anybody know who the state is with the highest rate of food insecurity right now? Have any idea? Any guesses? Anybody want to guess? It's okay. You're not going to get a bad grade or anything. I did. Not Alabama. Arkansas. So ours is 18.8% and theirs is 18.9%. So I'm not thinking that's a whole lot of difference. So they knocked us out of the number 1 spot, which is fine. We're always seem to be number 1 for things we don't want to be. But Arkansas, Mississippi, and then I think it's Texas is the next one. So there's many factors that lead to that. Poverty, I think everybody knows that. Access is a big one. And one of the gentlemen that presented this morning mentioned access and transportation and things like that. Those are factors here as well. Economic opportunity, race and ethnicity are also factors in that. If you are looking at the slide I have up there, as you can see, 18.8% overall food insecurity for the state, 23.6% for children, and then you have seniors at 13%. All of those exceed the national average. So Mississippi's above the national average for food insecurity across the board. But the food insecurity rates for our minority populations here in Mississippi are very high, so 30%. So the disparities in the races in Mississippi between the white population and the black population is staggering. And that kind of tracks all the way through health disparities and all the things. We have 2 counties in Mississippi that have the highest rates of food insecurity among children in the nation. And that would be Humphreys and Jefferson. and Holmes County is right behind them. So we have, claim to fame, a couple of counties that are the highest food insecurity rates for children in the nation. And that is not where we want to be, obviously. We have a vision at the Food Network, a hunger-free Mississippi. We, as far as Mississippi Food Network is concerned, we have a mission, and that is to change lives by fighting hunger today and feeding hope for a healthier tomorrow. And we're doing that in a lot of different ways. So we serve 56 counties out of the 82 in Mississippi. And this map shows you the whole state, then it shows you our service area. There are 2 other food banks that serve Mississippi as well. One of them is the Mid-South Food Bank, located in Memphis, Tennessee, and they serve the top 18 counties in northern Mississippi. Feeding the Gulf Coast is another food bank, and they're located outside of Mobile, and they serve the bottom 8 counties across the bottom. So I'm not really sure who determined how to divide up the service area for the state, but I think it's very interesting that we have 60% of the state. We're one of only 14 food banks across the nation that is the only food bank located in the state. I think Alabama has 4 or 5, Louisiana has 4 or 5, I know Tennessee has 5, so we're surrounded by states that have several food banks, but Mississippi has 1, and that's the Mississippi Food Network, and we're located in Jackson. We don't have any branches or hubs or other distribution points besides our location in Jackson. We do work through partner agencies, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So how are we working to eradicate hunger in our state? We're doing a lot of different things. I will have to explain this picture, though, really quickly. So Wednesday, whatever day it got really cold, the first day was Wednesday, we had our first Molly's Mobile Market distribution, and we did it in Holmes County at Chula at the Mallory Health Clinic. So this is something we've been trying to kick off for a couple of years, and we finally got the funding to purchase the vehicle. You could see it in the background of this picture. I have some more pictures of it. And what we're trying to do is help people with access, especially people with chronic health issues that a lot of Mississippians suffer from. So we have a very high rate of diabetes and a very high rate of heart disease, high rate of high blood pressure, that kind of thing. So what we want to do is do more intentional work with our health clinics who serve some of the populations that are Medicaid qualified and seniors living on fixed incomes. So we want to serve people that the clinic has identified as not only being having the health disparities we just talked about, but also they qualify social determinants of health. So they do surveys of the patients when they come in. So they do the social determinants of health, and they usually show as being food insecure. Many times it's because of access, and a lot of it is lack of access to good, wholesome food. And I know some of the presentations this morning talked about lack of variety and how that can lead to malnutrition and things like that. I think for us, that's one of the factors with our health disparities in our state, is just the lack of access to good, nutritious food that would help people combat some of these diseases. Diet is very important in being able to access the right kinds of food, especially if you're already dealing with type 2 diabetes or you're dealing with high blood pressure and things like that. Many times the patients at these clinics go in, they're identified as this, they're given the medication, and they're given information about how to eat right, and that's it. And then they go home and they don't have the food that will allow them to eat right. So we're trying to be intentional in helping them to have access to that food, at least one day a month anyway, because right now that's all we're able to do. So, but we're really, really happy to be able to get our Molly's Mobile Market off the ground and get her going. This is some of my team, as you can see in the picture. They were so happy. Everybody's dressed in camo because we pulled out our bib overalls and our coats and everything because it was so cold up there that day. But we made it happen, and we served 50 families, which is what we went up there to do. But we have several programs that we utilize to serve our families across the state. The Emergency Food Assistance Program, otherwise known as TFAP. We like acronyms. We use that program to supply our food pantries and our community kitchens or soup kitchens that we serve around the state. We also do mobile pantries. I just talked about Molly's. We also do other type mobile pantries where we actually take a full 18-wheeler van of food and distribute it in the community. And we usually do between 300 and 500 families when we do one of those. We have another program where we're partnering with local farmers for fresh, locally grown produce. So these local farmers, if we can purchase it from them, they can actually deliver it directly to one of our partners in their area. So we're able to do that. Another program that we have is we have a dietitian who's a Mississippi State grad, by the way. She prepares recipes and does food demos and things like that, especially when we get food items in that our neighbors that we're serving may not be familiar with. One of those that springs to mind is garbanzo beans. I love hummus. I'm sure many of you do. Not very many people in Holmes County know what to do with garbanzo beans. They're just kind of looking at this like, what, you know. So we're trying to be proactive with not only providing them with food that may be a little bit outside of their experience to give them a chance to try something different, but also give them ways to prepare it so that they do understand it's something good for them and that they can use it. So we also do that. So we run mobile pantries. Those are some of probably the most fun things we do, if you want to call it fun. We get to go out as a team. As you can see in these pictures, my smiling team, they're all happy to be there. We serve between 300 and 500 families at these. There was a couple of people in the room I was in earlier who were from Greenville, and we go to Greenville monthly and do a mobile pantry at the convention center, if any of you are familiar with that, and we serve about 500 families in Greenville, and we literally drive up with an 18-wheeler full of food and unload it, and people come through in their cars and the food is put in their car. We try to provide protein, fresh fruits and vegetables, and we also do shelf-stable items. Sometimes Mars Foods comes and brings some additional items, some of their rice dishes and rice things that they do, so they'll add to it. So it's kind of a whole, not just meal, but probably several days worth of food for families, and they're able to come and do that. So we're really proud of ourselves for figuring out how to do that, because if you can give out enough food to serve 500 families in an hour and a half, you're doing pretty good. It goes pretty fast. But volunteers are very key to that, and I'll talk about volunteers in a minute. This particular mobile pantry you're seeing pictures of right now is from Rolling Fork. This was in December of last year. I think everybody here probably knows Rolling Fork was devastated by a tornado in 2023, and we as an organization have been involved in the disaster relief and recovery of that particular town, and we do participate in disaster relief and recovery when needed as well, but we've been really invested in Rolling Fork, and we've distributed over 800,000 pounds of food to the people in Rolling Fork, but also to the families that were displaced. So we've done a good bit of that. But this is my team. We were in Rolling Fork. We did several distributions there right after the storm, and then as families are starting to come back into the town, we're doing even more there. So these are some more pictures of my team. Santa Claus helped us that day. So we also have the retail donation program. There was a lot of discussion this morning about food waste, and I think some of you guys probably did your presentations on food waste, and it is a vital topic. One of the things that we do as a food bank is we have a retail donation program to be able to get donated food from retailers so that the foods that they would ordinarily not be able to sell can still be used, because a lot of times it's policies and guidelines that keep them from being able to sell the food after a certain time, but it's still good, usable food. So what we actually do, we partner with Walmart, Kroger, and Dollar General, and we partner with our local agencies in the different counties to actually pick up directly from their Walmarts, their Krogers, or their Dollar Generals. Y'all, we have almost 400 Dollar Generals in our service area. That's not in the state, that's in our 56 counties. Being able to plug in a food pantry or an organization that is helping their community with food into these retail outlets has been game-changing for us. We distributed a little over 7 million pounds of rescued food last year. That's a lot of food that would have gone into a landfill. I mean, that's big. So when you think about food waste, if you're wondering about what's going on here, that's one of the things that we're doing, and it's a really great program. Actually, I have a Starkville native on my food sourcing team that helps me with that, and I think he retired from Mississippi State a few years ago, so thank you for letting him retire, because now I haven't. He's great. We also partner with local farmers, like I mentioned earlier. So this is Mr. Gregory. This is one of our farmers. He brings produce directly to us. He's only about 12 miles from the food bank. So when he picks and does his things, he brings it to us. He has several bins of collard greens in the picture behind him. And he shows up with his fresh produce. And we're really happy right now to be part of a grant program where we're able to purchase it. Prior to this grant, we've had it a couple of years now. Prior to this, we didn't have, the food bank didn't have the money to purchase the produce from the local farmers. So we were just grateful if they would donate what they couldn't sell. And as we've grown this program over the last couple of years, I've learned a lot. When we started it, I didn't really know how to talk to farmers, and they didn't really know how to talk to me, because we just spoke different languages. I speak food bank, they speak farmer. And I didn't understand a lot about how things affect their work and their livelihood. And they didn't really understand how the food bank worked. So food banks traditionally we exist on donated foods. We don't really buy a lot of food, luckily. We don't have to. We subsist on a lot of donated foods. And of course, farmers are growing food to sell it because that's how they're trying to make their living. So in doing that, so there were things that we had to learn. One of them is a lot of local farmers don't have the capacity to package it. And we kind of need it packaged a little bit. It helps us. Bulk foods for us is a little difficult. Some of the presentations this morning were talking about refrigeration and handling foods and things like that. That's a very real thing for us here in Mississippi as well. And for what we do is, yes, you can rescue a lot of food, but you got to have somewhere to put it. If you don't have someone you're going to give it to immediately, there's got to be somewhere to store it. So refrigeration is a big deal. And we started in 2008 an initiative to build the capacity of our partners around the state in having refrigeration and having the ability to handle products that they needed to be able to refrigerate, store until they could get them out into the community. And so that's been a wonderful thing. We've done most of that through grants. That's been a part of our growth there. But our local farmers have been a big part of it over the last 2 years. Hopefully the changes that we've all kind of feel are coming down the pike won't affect it too much, and we can continue to do that. Fresh produce accounts for about 30% of what we give out at the food bank. Is anybody surprised by that? It's okay if you say yes. I'm not offended. It's all right. Most people think of a food pantry or food bank as giving out dry beans and canned items or things like that, and rice. And that's part of it. I'm not going to say it's not. But we also make a concerted effort and very intentional effort to have fresh produce and a lot of protein. We give out a lot of protein as well. Much of our pounds are around protein. So Darrell mentioned child feeding programs when he introduced me. So in 2006, the Mississippi Food Network didn't have any child feeding programs. We were strictly a food distribution hub, and food was donated and it went out on our trucks to our food pantries, and that was what we did. I was in a meeting. Is anybody familiar with Stew Pot that's in Jackson? Some of you probably are. I was in a meeting with their their executive director and her youth leader, one day we were talking about doing some nutrition education at Stewpot for her after-school kids. And so we were just having this discussion, talking about their hours and when they were open and things like that. And she said, well, they're here Monday through Thursday, and then we're not technically open on Fridays, but we do have kids that come over on Fridays to get food to take home. And I said, what do you mean get food to take home? She said, well, they eat here with us Monday through Thursday, but over the weekend they don't have any food. And I'm 3 miles from her at a food bank. Now, I'd only been working at the food bank 3 years at that point. But it was, I absolutely felt it right here when she said that to me. I could not imagine. I just couldn't. You know, I remember my youngest son coming home from school when he was in elementary school, and he had his weekly papers that he came home with, and it had the little things in there. And one of the things on it asked him what his favorite smell was. Does anybody have a favorite smell? I do have a point to this, by the way. Does anybody have a favorite smell? What's your favorite smell? Lemon? Great. He said his favorite smell was supper. I can identify with that. I can remember being a kid and coming home, my mom starting supper, it's smelling really good. But I thought that was what hit my mind when she said that to me. When she said, they come over here to get food to take home so they'll have food to eat over a weekend. It just hit me so hard, because to imagine that there's a child that is going home in the afternoons and he doesn't smell supper. He's just trying to figure out what he's going to do for his meal. And it kind of lit a fire under my little self. I was like, okay, what can we do about this? You know. So I go back to the food bank, and my executive director just kind of looked at me like, okay, what are we going to do about it? I was like, I don't know, let's figure something out. So we actually implemented, the first thing we implemented was the backpack program. Anybody familiar with the backpack program? A lot of people probably are now. At the time we started it, nobody was doing it. It was like a new thing. So what we do is we partner with schools, and schools actually identify children. And if anybody in here is a teacher, you know the kids that are doing without food at home. You know who they are. They identify the kids. We provide the food, and it's about a 3.5-pound bag of food for the children that's given to them on Friday afternoon, and they take it home, and they have food for the weekend. Now, the food is shelf-stable and doesn't have to be cooked. So, you know, you can't really give them fresh produce in a bag that's going in a backpack. I can imagine what it would look like by the time they got home with it, and Mama would find a black banana in there or something little. But so it's a little bit limited, or it can be. But we started that program then with 150 kids, and we are actually providing 2,400 a week right now, 2,400 backpack meal kits a week. And we're not the only ones in the state doing it. There are other groups that are doing it now, so there are more kids that are being served through this. It is the most expensive program we run, because the foods that we have to purchase, and we do have to purchase them, are some of the most expensive foods that you find in the grocery store. Just because they're shelf stable and they come in, you know, single serving packs and things like that. But it's so important to be able to put that food in that child's hand. It's the most direct, I guess, one that we have. And the fact that we can do that, and that we're privileged enough to be part of helping these kids with actually being able to have food over a weekend is very humbling to us. But that was one of the first child feeding programs we started. Then the question comes up of, well, when they're not in school, what do you do during the summer? Okay, well, let's do the summer food service program. So I just kept finding things to do. So we started the summer food service program. We now utilize the SFSP program, which is a federally funded program for that. It's a reimbursement program. And we partner with community organizations. We typically partner in rural areas where their school is not doing it. There's a lot of schools that do the summer feeding program. And if a school is doing it, that's great. They're equipped to do it, and the kids know where it is, and they're able to do it. We actually are very intentionally focusing on counties that the schools are not doing it, and we're able to get in there. And a lot of times it's a church. Sometimes it is a school. They let us use their facilities. Different organizations let us use the facilities to do summer feeding. It is a very short program. It only lasts for about 8 to 10 weeks during the summer. It's intense, though, because you have to get geared up. You have to make projections, think about how many kids are coming, and you don't ever know. It's an open program, so you open up and say, hey, we're feeding kids. Come, and then you're hoping they show up. Typically, they do. We try to be intentional about where we do our summer feeding programs. We not only try to go into areas of high need for child nutrition, we also try to make sure that it's accessible for the children and that they're able to get to it and that kind of thing. So, but it's been a great program for us as well. We now partner with the Department of Ed and Office of Child Nutrition on the Child and Adult Care Food Program as well, CACFP, for at-risk after-school programs and do suppers. So we were able to get a grant several years ago, and we updated some kitchens at the Boys and Girls Club of the Mississippi Delta. And so we're providing, we only have one site that still serves snacks. The rest of them all, I think we have 7 sites total, they all serve supper meals. So these children are able to get suppers when they go into their after-school program. And so the parents come pick them up, their homework's done, and they've been fed. How awesome is that? All you got to do is get them through the bath. I guess Mama has to do something, so we'll let them continue doing that. A little bit more about the backpack program to lead into the school pantry program. We did some surveys of our parents and of our school partners a couple of years into the backpack program just to see how well it was being received and if it was something that we could continue and could get additional funding for and that kind of thing. The interesting thing was, this was something you don't know sometimes until you do surveys and evaluate things, was that we were finding out that many of the children that were receiving the meal kits were either sharing it with other siblings or the whole family. That was what they were eating over the weekend. It's a 3.5-pound bag of food. It's not much. So here we go again. Okay, what can we do about that? Because for us, sometimes challenges we try to turn into opportunities to make a difference and to have an impact. We can't feed everybody, but we do try. I have a great staff, and they're all about it, very invested. But the school pantry program was born out of that. So we have a couple of different models of the school pantry program. We have one that is a once a month when they're having either a PTO meeting or a book fair or something where the parents and the kids are going to be at school after school. We actually go and we set up kind of like a farmer's market. So we take our truck over, we take fresh produce, and we take different items, and we set up, and the families can shop. So we have shopping bags, and they come in and they fill their shopping bags. It's, of course, at no charge, but they're able to choose the things that they want. It's not just given to them. Typically, they take pretty much everything we have because we try to make sure it's good stuff. But we do that. So I think we're doing about 300 families at, I think, 2 or 3 different schools right now. The other model of it is an actually on-the-site food pantry or at the school. It's usually either in the counselor's office or in the nurse's office, and it's a closet that they've set aside and have shelf-stable items in for the students if they need them. That is typically done in a high school setting where the stigma of being food insecure is a lot higher for a high school kid than it is for a second grader. So we try to make it where high schoolers can get the help they need, but they can do it in a way that won't create stigma for them with their friends and things like that. So we've got a couple of those things, but that came out of our evaluation of our backpack program and how we could do that. These are just some more pictures of some, these are all our people, our kids, and although I know she's eating a corn dog, we're gonna go right on past that. So we have senior programs too. So we serve a lot of seniors in Mississippi. So there's a lot of reasons that seniors may be experiencing food insecurity, but the top 3 are poverty. So a lot of seniors in Mississippi live on fixed incomes, and it may just be, they may just get a Social Security check. Many of them have health issues, so there is the expense of dealing with their health issues, medication, trips to the doctor, things like that. And then transportation. Transportation's a big deal in Mississippi. There's a definite need for more transportation, especially in the rural areas, for people to be able to get to their doctor's appointments and get to places that they need to get to. So we have two programs, CSFP, Commodity Supplemental Food Program is one, and the Senior Grocery Program. CSFP is a federal program that is a 60-year-olds and older who have to qualify by income. We do 13,000 units a month is how many we have in Mississippi. And that food comes in bulk, and we use volunteers to pack the CSFP boxes. Some of you, I think, have been here and have been to the food bank, I'm sorry, not here, been to the food bank and packed some of them. So we have certain things that have to go in the box, but these seniors get that every month. We actually were able to use a grant last year and this year, it's 2 years going, where every other month we're able to, well, half the seniors get it 1 month, the other half gets it the next month, fresh produce, so it goes out with the boxes. We can't put it in the box because that box has to be what it is, but we send the fresh produce when we go take the deliveries. Most of our partners for that are either churches or community action agencies in our counties. But our Senior Grocery Program is a grant-funded, donation-funded program that we actually raise funds to get, and we purchase the food. We use volunteers to pack the boxes. So we have, I think we have 12 partners right now. They're all churches, and we provide the senior grocery boxes to them, but we do fresh produce 2 months, and then we do a shelf-stable box the 3rd month, and then we rotate it. And that's just a way to stretch our money, but also give them access to fresh produce. But we have a lot of seniors who are food insecure in our state. This is our warehouse. How many of you have been to the food bank? Some of you have. Yeah, some of you have been. Good, 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 good. So this is our warehouse. So our total square footage is about 86,000 square feet. This particular, our main warehouse is 68,000 square feet. And so this is kind of where all the magic happens at the food bank. So I mentioned volunteers earlier. So volunteers are so important to a nonprofit. If any of you have ever helped out with a nonprofit or you're part of a nonprofit, you understand volunteers are vital. For us in 2024, we had over 9,000 hours that volunteers put in at the food bank. We want to grow that this year. We are actually in the implementation stages of a formal volunteer program where we actually have the ability for volunteers, single volunteers, groups, whatever, to come to the food bank every day and do something. We're not quite there yet, but we're headed in that direction so that we can offer more opportunities for more people to participate and understand more about the food insecurity problem in Mississippi, but also to be able to provide more services. Volunteers are vital to what we do and how we do it. So we get lots of youth groups. This is Hobie. Anybody here Hobie in Hobie? Yeah, I kind of figured, yeah, so know about it. So Hobie comes every year. I think it's the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Program, and I think it's sophomores are part of Hobie, and they come to the food bank. They've been coming to the food bank for 21 years, so there's some Hobie people that are grown and their children are coming. We have volunteers in our food pantries and our partners. So $1 provides 6 meals, 150,000 neighbors served each month. That number is actually larger than that, but I can only use the number I have data to back up. But we have a lot more people we serve than that. And 20.7 million meals were provided in 2024. And that translates out to about 26 million pounds of food was distributed. We do that through distribution. We have trucks. We have 6 trucks, 3 of which are 18-wheelers. They go somewhere every day and distribute somewhere in our 56 counties every day. We also have 3 box trucks, so we load those up and they go. And we just, do that kind of thing and send the food out. We also have people that come to the food bank every day and are picking up pallets of food. They take it back to their location and pack it up and give it out. We have choice food pantries where people can actually choose the food that they want. Then we have food pantries that pack it in advance and give it out. Sometimes that's related to the capacity of the volunteers and of the program. So those are the things they do. I was going to ask some questions of you, and I brought t-shirts. I really wanted a t-shirt launcher, but I couldn't find one. But I'm probably glad I didn't, because I would probably be launching it out there. So anyway, I think I told you earlier some ways that we get food to the food bank. So first person that answers this question gets this t-shirt. What is one of the ways that the food bank gets donated food? Yes? Farmers. There you go. No, I'm just kidding. There you go. I really was going to throw one, but I guess I better not. And my aim's not very good either, so I better be careful doing that. All right. What is one of the distribution methods that we use that I talked about? I didn't hear you. Say it one more time. Yes. You said ATVs? There you go. All right. I didn't tell you guys this, so I can't ask you this question. But I did tell you. How many people in Mississippi are food insecure total? Told you that way back at the beginning. Anybody got a guess?
1 out of 5? 1 out of 5?
1 out of 5. There you go. Good job. Ping. There you go. Where is the food bank located?
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson. Good job. There he comes. Good deal. I do think a launcher would have been a lot more fun. And let's see, how many more do I have? I have 2 more. What's one of the child feeding programs that I talked about? Whoop, she said it. Backpack, all right. Good deal. How many grandchildren do I have? Your hand went up quick, so. They did, they heard that. That's awesome. Thank y'all so much. Look, these are some of the ways that you can connect with us. You can volunteer, you can host a food drive, you can donate, you can advocate, and you can share. Follow us on social media. We're on all the things. But thank y'all so much for having me here today. I'm really humbled to be part of this. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Today, because a lot of these are high schoolers, they're from their various towns and counties. If they want to volunteer, what is the best way to go about that?
The best way is to go to our website, which is msfoodnet.org. There is a volunteer tab, and you can sign up right there on our volunteer tab. Like I said, we are growing that, so that's going to be changing over the next few months. When we do our mobile pantries in some of the outside areas, those opportunities are actually going to be on there. They're not right now, but they're going to be. So we're going to start putting those on our site so people in that area will know that they can come and volunteer. Yeah?
Any questions from the audience for Cassandra Mobley? Any questions? If you have one, raise your hand tall. I see your hands. Oh, you have one. Yes, sir.
What's your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job? Oh gosh, there's a lot that I like. Being able to get up every morning and go to work and know that whatever I do that day is going to have an impact on somebody even if I'm just stuck in my office, which I am way too much, stuck in my office behind a computer, I still know something I've done is going to have an impact on somebody. My favorite thing, though, is to go to a mobile pantry and do the work. That's my favorite part, yeah. And probably my team. I love my people. My team, I've got a great staff at the food bank. That was way more than you asked for.
Any other questions? Anything? Sure don't miss anybody. All right, well, let's thank our speaker one more time.
So, thank you all.
Before you step away, somewhere here, we have a special gift for you.
Oh, well, thank
And,
you. You didn't have to
I
do
know you're a
that.
Southern Miss grad, but you probably don't have one of these.
I don't,
You have a
actually.
personalized cowbell. There you go.
Yay!
There you go.
I think I know what to
so
do with
much.
it. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm gonna have to guard that. There's some Mississippi State people at my office that will try to take it. They can't have it. I won't.